Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to the Tube. This is a spoiler review for Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer. As you may have seen, my colleague Ginger Greek has already done a spoiler review for Barbie. If you haven't checked it out, please check it below. Go give it a like and go give it a comment. But this is a review of Christopher Nolan's historical epic Oppenheimer. So, first of all, it's a great movie. Um, I don't think it's going to be for everybody because it's very conversational heavy. So it's a bit like JFK or All the President's Men. It's like a movie like that where a lot of the stuff that's happening is conversations, but it's a character piece. It's a really intriguing character piece about three parts of Oppenheimer's life. So really to do with his upbringing, the fact that he was in Cambridge, then he went to other parts of Europe like Germany, where he met other people, and he studied abroad. There was things he did in his past, like for example, he tried to poison one of his professors, but he stopped himself because of the fact that he was upset with that he was being criticised. So we could get to see what kind of human being he is. There's also two others where we're seeing like a Senate sort of hearing to decide whether Lewis Strauss is going to become a member of this particular one of the members of the cabinet of, I think it's Truman, I believe, of his cabinet. And then there's another one where it's all about Oppenheimer's um, history of his security clearance being heard by this committee. And there's different people from from his background, basically giving testimony, witness testimony to what they describe now. All three of these are kind of happening at the same time. So we're talking about what's happening in his life, just kind of building up to the point of being basically the father of the atomic age, and like the fact he's a womanizer, the fact that he has very left leaning sympathies, especially in a time in America where that kind of was problematic, especially as we go into McCarthyism, especially during the Red Scare era, which is kind of still about. His brother's very tied to the Communist Party, so is his future wife. So, many people that he's associated with a a a union of that sort of thing, and kind of these things are kind of like brought up to be negatives of why they are kind of initially hesitant to bring him on board, but kind of that's the initial part, and that was the brilliant part. Is that kind of it's the build up to him getting the lead side role, and it's kind of the tension, the music in this is brilliant. For example, as it builds up tension, or as we get more and more, because he talks about this pilot talks about the fact that he was overseas and he saw a German V rocket going past it, which is a closest thing that they have developed closest to the atomic bomb, and it sort of like drives him forward to become like this, to develop this weapon, even though he is basically Prometheus, because the whole thing is Prometheus. That he did this whole Promethean arc. But I think that the main two touchstones behind it, if I was to give any, are Frankenstein the book and World War Z the book. Like that the fact that this monster, this thing has taken over, is destroyed its creation, and people are using this creation to destroy its creator. They're doing a lot of political machination to basically to try and escalate the war against the Russians, and because he's speaking against this, he's very anti-war at one point. But I thought the most brilliant scene in this was the build up to the atomic bomb. Like for example, we hear about it, and then they actually blow it up. They actually do the bomb. It's blinding light, and it's complete silence. And silence a lot of time in film is not used enough. It's used spectacularly well in this film. The silences, and then this A-star performances. The performances across the board in this film are tremendous, from Cillian Murphy to Emily Blunt to Florence Pugh to Matt Damon to two surprise roles who I did not know were in this movie. Robert Downey Jr. is going to get an Oscar for this. He should definitely get an Oscar for this. But the two roles that I did not see coming was Gary Oldman as Harry Sherman, and one of the most terrifying things in this film is not the Atomic Bomb. It's Casey Affleck as this guy called Boris. My God, was he bone chilling in the scenes he's in. It's just like he's like the creepiest thing I've ever seen in my life. It's like he's like really threatening, and like, you know, and the thing is that the way that it's structured is so beautifully well done. Like, for example, he meets up with Florence Pugh's character late in life, and they continue their affair. But it's not until he's in this particular committee that he talks about the fact that he slept with her again, that he spent the night with her again, that he reinitiated their affair. And there's a brilliant scene where basically, as he admits it, he's like naked in front of people. It's basically like that nightmare scenario that we all have. Like, we're naked in front of a group of people, and we're like, that's more. And all of a sudden, she's imagining Florence Pugh having sex with Cillian Murphy, and it's such well done. And the scene where he says, "I now become death, I destroy worlds," it literally feels like that. And we start seeing people turn against him, you know. Like there's different scientists who's like they're saying, "Oh, I wouldn't trust him now with his background and this, that, and the other." It's really like terrifying to how it's saying, and like Einstein's like saying to him, "Look, you need to be careful with what you do because people now will weaponize things against you, and then they'll just give you a reward, not for you to make them feel better about the way they treat you, you know, to give them basically permission and just to like give themselves clemency almost." And that's one thing that is beautifully well done as well, that people are trying to give themselves a moral pass for what they did, not only to Oppenheimer but to the world, you know, to Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And you can see that the pain and the torment that he's taken on this person, like, you know, it's like saying, you know, I really should have done this, and you know, the H bomb coming, and he's like really frustrated with it, you know. All of this is generally well done, and I think that this will be a very, 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 very high Oscar contender. I think I've mentioned before that my film of the year has been Across the Spider-Verse. This is alongside it now, because I've not seen a film which deals with human hubris, jealousy, ego, you know, the fact that, you know, how somebody's creation could be turned against them, and how it could be used to basically whip that guy into, you know. Robert Downey Jr.'s role as Louis Strauss is brilliant, because the fact is that this guy is such an egomaniac. He can't see that there's bigger conversations that are about him. He thinks everything's about him. He doesn't see that it's his own behavior that has turned people against him. He's like blaming, you know, Oppenheimer for all this that's happened to him, and like, you know, like, yeah, and there's something in the film you can guess that happens, which is basically he's the guy who basically sent the guy who writes the report to Hoover, saying, gave him all of Oppenheimer's basically file, and basically got him to write a list. And it's like, you could tell that was going to happen because of like the fact that Oppenheimer embarrasses him like in the committee about, you know, solid isotopes, and the thing, and even if they don't sell isotopes, you know, the Russians still develop a bomb that's like the one they did in Los Alamos. And I like the fact that the paranoia, that like who's caused this, you know, all this is going on. And this is very well shot. It is tremendously well paced, and I think it is tremendous. And I think it will bring back the historical epic in a big way. And I think that to be others made in this sort of vein, if that's the case, it's well done. It's doing massive numbers with Barbie, and good for it, to be honest with you, that we're getting a film like this doing that side of numbers. And I think it's a good thing for cinema that the films this year that have done really well are three creative, well-made, well-shot, well everything, well acted, well everything films that are doing well. And I think it'll show studios this is what we want. I would recommend go see it. I would say go and see it in the normal projections, because that's what I did, but also go and see it in IMAX if you can. I've heard that the sound design could be a bit ropey because of the IMAX camera, but I would go and see it on the best scene you can. It is worth it. It is worth every single penny and more you pay for it. You will not regret it. It might be a bit talky for you, but stay with it. It is well worth it. Anyway, This is NerdTube, the greatest YouTube channel you've never heard of, with Bossman signing out.